Hey guys, sorry about that. We had a problem with the go-to. We had to restart it twice to get in. So I apologize for that. We like to get started promptly. So thanks for your patience. We'll go ahead and get started. One thing I was going to bring up right now is that a lot of you, we sent out a little piece here last week, and a lot of you commented on the envelope. So we really, here's the information on how to find those envelopes, and they're not that expensive. And it is the best way to get people's attention if you want to send something out and get the thing open. Oops.
Sorry, Mike. I think you're going to have to restart your presenter. There you go. Thanks.
Okay. Now everybody
Perfect.
see it.
Thank you.
Everybody see my
Yep, we sure do.
glamour mailers? Okay. So this is the envelope that you can use to see that. So let me see here. Good. So if you have any questions on that, get a hold of Tricia and she can tell you how to get those. But this will get people's attention. But the main thing I want to talk about today was how we can overcome objections. So there's 4 cornerstones of the 5Q group. One is mutual respect. Don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. Get invited in and overcome the objection before they bring it up. But just briefly, let's talk about these other 3 before we get into objections. Mutual respect. What I mean by mutual respect is that you should not be aggressive, nor should you allow the client to be aggressive to you. If you want to communicate, you have to communicate with the same level of aggressiveness. So if you're meek and the other person's a bully, is anything going to be be communicated? Or if you're a bully and they're meek, is anything going to be communicated? No. So you need to have the exact same amount of aggressiveness. So what I'd like to have people do is take your 2 pointer fingers and have them touch. Now have the left finger push hard on the right finger. It's going to yield. Or the right hand or right finger push hard on the left and it's going to yield. Instead, what you want to do is have the exact same pressure so it does not move. So if the client's meek, guess what you should be? Meek. If the client's aggressive, guess what you need to be? More aggressive. So that's mutual respect, because a bully only respects a bully. A meek person will get bulldozed under by somebody who's aggressive. So you want to have the exact same amount of aggressiveness. That's mutual respect. Don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. There's only one person people believe 100% of the time, and who's that? Themselves. So anything you sell to them, anything you tell them, anything you preach at them or teach them is not going to be believed. Anything worth saying must be said by who? By them. So don't tell, sell, preach, or teach. Get invited in. I never try to push my way in. I always ask them, would you like to see more? So they have to tell you that they want to see more. You don't tell them. And then the big thing is here's overcome the objection before they bring it up. So what do I mean by that? I mean that these scripts are 23 or 25 years old since I've been using them, 22 years old since all the advisors on 5Q have been using them. And if there was any objections that weren't overcome by the script, we would have done that a long time ago. But do we make mistakes sometimes and don't know the script as well as we can, or we kind of skate a little bit and don't use the script as well as we can? If you use the script exactly as I laid it out, you will get 0 objections because you bring it up before the script is designed to remove all their objections. But if you do make a mistake, you don't want to handle their objection wrong, so I'm going to go through how we do that today. Okay? So overcome the objection before they bring it up, because if they say it, it's true. What's the only way to overcome an objection is for them, if they give you an objection, what's the only way for them to overcome the objection? What's the only way for them to overcome the objection? To say that they're wrong. How many people want to say that they're wrong? None. And Missy, I need to get questions up. Can you come on here and help me get questions? I can't see what they're saying or what they're typing in. So I got chat, but I see no questions. Did it come up screwed up? Thank you.
Yep, you didn't come up as an organizer, so now you should be good to go. Do you see him now?
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So what's they have to admit that they're wrong. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong, so it's better to overcome the objection before and our formula for overcoming objections will overcome it without them saying they're wrong, but it's a lot more work to do it once they've given you the objection than it is to avoid it by knowing the scripts. Clients didn't have to admit how many people like to admit they're wrong? We talked about that. So now here's the funny thing about objections, though. You can turn a crisis or a challenge into an opportunity. Because with an objection, what we're going to do is we're going to get on their side. We're going to tell them that their objection is right. We're going to get on their side of the table. And you can turn something that's negative into something that's positive. So if you do overcome an objection correctly, you actually build more rapport. Now, how many systems out there will show you how to take an objection and turn it into a rapport building exercise besides ours? Is there any other sales system out there that's going to show you how to take something that's negative, something that's a flash point, a pressure point, and turn it into something that's rapport building? I'm going to show you how we can do that today, okay? Now, I'm not looking for objections so I can build rapport. It's still better to overcome it. But if something bad happens, it's going to take you longer to do it. So if it's going to take you longer to do it, you might as well do it correctly and build some rapport with it. So the one thing we don't want to do with an objection is when they give us an objection, we answer the objection, then they give us an objection, we answer the objection, give us all that turns into is what? A back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We don't want to do that. We want to instead turn it into a rapport building exercise. So let's talk about how not to do it. How not to do it is the exact way we were all taught to do it. So this is the National Association of Sales Professionals from their website. It's talking about the 5-step method of handling objection. It's the way that we were all taught to handle objections. And I'm telling you that if you do it the old way, you're not helping yourself, you're hurting yourself. So the 5-step method is first. Number one, hear them out completely. Don't interrupt. Is that a good thing? Y or N? Hear them out. Yeah, everybody's saying yes. Yeah, that's the one thing in this whole formula I will agree with. First, hear them out. Then put in a softening statement such as, hey, I completely understand how you feel. Some of my clients felt that way too. What do I think about that, guys? Is that a good thing? Hey, I completely understand how you feel. And some of my best clients felt that way also. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a horrible, 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 horrible thing. Because what you're saying is, hey, I understand how you feel. But some of my clients felt that way also. What do they know you're about to do when you say that? These are not some neophytes when it comes to handling salespeople. They have heard this 1,000 times before. And as soon as they hear, hey, I understand how you feel, a lot of my best clients felt the same way, they know you're about to correct them. And what happens to their these are sophisticated people. Guys, how many times do people, they get hit with marketing messages 10,000 times a day. So as soon as you do a feel, felt, found, guys, if you're in, try it on your wife. I understand how you feel. Their hackles will go up. They get immediately defensive. That's right. You cannot do this. This is wrong, wrong, wrong. What do we do? What do I tell you to do? Hear them out, and then what are you supposed to do? Because when they hear feel, felt, found, they know what you're doing. That's right. You agree. And I say absolutely. The reason I say absolutely, if you ever see me on videotape and with talking to somebody and you hear me say absolutely, what you know is that whatever they said, I completely disagree with. But I've trained myself to say absolutely to prevent me from putting my foot in my mouth by saying yes, but, or I completely understand how you feel. Many of my clients felt. I have trained myself to say absolutely as soon as somebody says something I don't like. Absolutely. Because are they expecting that? When somebody gives you an objection, do they realize they're giving you an objection? Well, I think that's too expensive. I don't like annuities. Hope you're not going to try to sell me an annuity. I think the market's going to do great. Do they understand they're giving you an objection? Absolutely they do. They're saying, I don't want to buy from you for this reason. They understand they're giving you an objection. So what do they expect you to do when they tell you why they don't want to buy from you? Just say, okay, and move on, or try to, that's right, that you'll try to counter that. So as soon as you say absolutely, they say, it's kind of like the cartoon where now if you can envision me, I'm going to be shaking my head and going, what just happened? Like the cartoon does, right? Because they're thinking, I thought he was going to try to tell me that what I was thinking was wrong and try to tell me why this is a good thing to buy. Instead, he's saying absolutely. See what it does to them? It completely breaks the paradigm, and this back and forth of you give me an objection, I counter it. Instead, they're like, wait a minute, he's actually agreeing with me? What's going on here? And do they listen more? When you surprise them like that, when you're surprised, do you listen more carefully or less carefully? Do you communicate better or not better? Yeah, more. So I agree with hear them out, but don't do a softening statement. That hurts you more than it helps you. Instead, say absolutely, or whatever you want to say. You say right on. You got it. You're 100% correct. Whatever you want to say. And is this, when I say absolutely, does that mean I'm 50-50, I'm kind of on your side, or is that black and white? I agree with you with no reservation. That's totally. I absolutely 100%, no wiggle room, agree with you. Does that make sense? Number two is, in the classic, is question and isolate the objection. Say, I understand that you don't like annuities, and let me ask you a question. Assuming the price, or they're talking about price here, but let me just say, I understand that you don't like annuities. So what is it about annuities you don't like? See, they want you to clarify. Well, I understand you think it's too expensive, but assuming that it wasn't too expensive, would you still like to do it? See, when you do that, what do they think you're doing? See, when you question and isolate, well, I understand that you don't want to do things now, but what is it about what's happening right now that makes you want to wait? When you do that, what do they know you're doing? Trying to help them? No, they think you're putting them in a corner. The only reason you're asking those questions is so that they'll give you an answer that you can overcome, so you can argue with them. So the second thing here, when you say, and guys, let me ask you, were we all taught, so number one, number two, were we all taught to overcome objections this way? When you first came into business, yes, we all were. Do you see, though, why it's actually counterproductive instead of productive? It gets them more defensive, not less defensive. So instead of isolating the objection, what do we do instead? Absolutely. And then we get on their side. Tell them why their objection is right. I don't like annuities. Absolutely. You don't like annuities. I don't like annuities. You're lucky. You don't have to deal with these companies every single day. I have to deal with them every single day. So when you say you don't like annuities, yeah, I agree. I agree 150% because I have to deal with these companies every single day. And you think about it, do we ever want to work with a company that all they want to do is make a profit? Do we want to work with an investment that when you die, you lose all the principal? And guys, do many people think annuities are that way? That when you die, the principal goes away, because that's how they've been told in magazine articles and such. So I'm going to tell them why their objection is what? Wrong or right? Now they're really going, what? Not only did he agree with me by saying absolutely, he's explaining to me, he's arguing my point of view for me. He thinks just like me. And what do we think about people who think just like us? We like them or don't like them? Think they're brilliant or don't think they're brilliant? We love people who think just like us. So now I've taken something that could be a crisis and starting to turn it into rapport. Do you see that? The other thing that happens here is if I tell them why they're right, I'm getting into their shoes, aren't I? And those of you that were in debate clubs, do you have to practice just one side of the argument or both sides of the argument? In debate, you have to be able, and why do you have to be able to argue both sides of the arguments? Because if you don't understand the other side's argument, can you win? So by me telling them all the reasons they're thinking, because am I really concerned, am I being absolutely correct that they should never invest in companies that would take your money when you die? Do I 100% agree with that? I do. I'm not going to tell them yet that they're misunderstanding. I'm just saying that if the product really, in my head, I'm thinking, if the product really worked that way, I wouldn't want to invest in it either. And those of you that have dealt with annuity companies, are there days when you hate annuity companies? Is that a lie? Are there days, come on, yays or nays, are there days you hate annuity companies? Any of you that dealt with paperwork and getting money moved, etc. Yes, there's days. So am I lying that way? No, I'm telling them that I agree with you 100%. So far, how much of this 5-step method are we using? Virtually none, because if you use the classic, our clients are way too sophisticated. They're going to push back hard. Number 3, answer the objection. Do we ever answer the objection, guys? We talked about this earlier. There's only one person they believe, which is who? Themselves. You have to, if you try to overcome the objection, they think, you have an agenda. They have to overcome their own objections. You ask open-ended questions to let them overcome their own objections. For example, I wouldn't want to work, annuity companies, all they want is make a profit. All they want to do is make a profit. Well, I can easily get out of that and say, that's why I never fill up my car with gas. See, after you get on their side for 3 or 4 minutes, I can start really getting so much on their side that they start to say, well, no, I think you're going overboard there. All companies want to make profits. Do you see how, but when I'm getting on their side, I'm saying, all these companies want to make, and they're like, yeah, all they do want is make money. And then after I get on their side, their defenses go down. I can show them how unreasonable that suggestion is. So I never work. Right now, these oil companies are making money hand over fist. Gas prices are $5, and these oil companies, instead of lowering the prices, they're having less profits. They're making unbelievable profits. So I don't even fill up my car with gas. I walk everywhere now or bike everywhere. Is that what you do, folks? And what do they say? Well, no. No. But you have to. Even if the company's making money, you still have to. Yeah. And then how about the grocery stores? Do they make money? How about Target, Walmart? Do they make money? So when you know a company's making money, you just want to keep them what? There's no problem with making money. You just want to keep them what? Let them bulldoze over you, or keep them honest? So you want to look at things more carefully or less carefully? More carefully. You want to read the fine print or don't want to read it? Want to read the fine print. But after you've done all that, are you okay with working with a company that's making a profit? Because if they're not making a profit, what's going to happen to that company? Well, it's going to go under. Do you want to put your money with a company that's going to go under? No, I certainly don't. So it's okay with them making a profit as long as what? That they come out on the plus side, or you come out on the plus side, or that we come out on the plus side. Exactly. So you want to make sure when you're buying something, especially like an annuity, that what? You're 110% sure that it works for you or works for the company, that it works for us. So do you see how who told them that was a silly argument that annuity companies make profits? Who told them that? Me? Who told them that? That's right. I asked questions, and what did they say? No, you have to work with companies that make profits. You just want to make sure that it's so. I asked open-ended questions, and they told themselves. They overcame their own objection. And you can do the same thing for the fact that you hate annuities. You can do the same thing for I don't want to give my money to a company that's going to take that when I die I lose all that money. So you can overcome all those objections by asking open-ended questions, and they overcome them themselves. Does that make sense? So number 3, we don't answer the objection, so that's out. Because if you answer the objection, what are they thinking? What's the only reason you would answer the objection and tell them why they're wrong? What's the only reason you're doing that? Because you really care about them as individuals, and you care about whether they get a good deal, and you care about their families. Is that why you overcome the objection? Why are you overcoming the objection? To make money. So anything you say to overcome objection. So number 3 is stupid. It's stupid because anything you say is a big fat lie in their minds. Why? Because all you are saying that for in their minds is to make a sale. So you can't do that. Number 4, confirm your answer. Does that answer that for you? Does that make sense? How have I satisfied that for you? Because we've been told the salespeople, get them to say yes, get them to say yes, get them to say yes. So if they say yes here, have I overcome the objection? Does that answer that for you? Yes. Does that make sense for you? Yes. Have I satisfied for you? Yes. If they say yes there, have I overcome the objection? 1 right answer, 2 right answers, 3 right answers. I'm waiting for a wrong answer. If they say yes, have I overcome the objection? They're agreeing with me, aren't they? You guys are so smart. No. Because what does yes ever mean yes when we're in sales? Yeah, they're just trying to shut me up. That's right, Nick. They're just saying, yeah, whatever. Sure. Can't wait to get out of this office. Do they want to argue with me, or do they just want to move on at that point? They want to move on. So of course they'll say yes. Sure. Yeah, well, here's what they're saying. Have I satisfied you? They say yes out loud, and in their heads they're saying, they say yes out loud, and in their heads saying, yeah, you satisfied me the fact that all you care about is yourself and making money on me. Does that make sense? They'll say yes out loud, but in their head they're saying, yeah, it makes sense that all you want to do is make money on me. Does that answer it for you? They'll say yes out loud, but in their head they're saying, yeah, it answers that the only person you care about is yourself and making money. So yes does not work. What do we do instead of confirming the answer? We ask open-ended questions where they explain to us why it overcame the answer. So with the annuity, again, I don't like annuities. So in this case, we know that annuities are out to make profit, and yes, annuities are annoying, but why do we still use annuities? And I've asked enough questions that they'll say, because it's the only company that will give us the things we want, which is to take part in the market without risk and that charge a fair fee. Because money managers don't charge a fair fee. Annuities do. If guys, money managers don't charge a fair fee, annuities do. If you know the FIA presentation, is that correct? Yes or no? Do annuities charge with a commission? Do they charge a more or less fair fee than money managers who charge 1% a year for? That's right. So if you don't understand that, you need to look at the FIA presentation again. So they're going to explain to me why an annuity makes sense, not me. And then ask for the deal. Guys, I couldn't, remember the 8th year, I did 101 case analysis, had $34 million in assets, walked to my office, and I closed the $800,000. So would you say I'm a good or a bad closer? I'm a bad, couldn't close a door. So I created the script to let them ask me. So at the end of the FIA presentation, I say, so do you see why we should do this? Is that what I say? Do I say, well, what do you think we should do? Who's going to tell me they want this thing? Well, why should we do that? Well, I think we should invest all of our money here, but why should we do that? Because I want something that does this and this. See, they tell me. So the classic way of overcoming objections, guys, have you seen anybody out there that understands overcoming objections better than I do? I've read thousands of articles, and guess what all the articles talk about? This bullshit. Pardon my French, but this stuff, and that's what it is, BS. And all you're doing with the classic sense is what? Building their resistance to you, not creating. Do you see? Does this create rapport? The way we do, does it create rapport? Does it take a bad situation where they gave you an objection and turn it into a relationship building exercise? The way we do it. Again, it's a lot of work, so it's better to learn the script so you never get an objection. But if you get an objection, you might as well use it to build rapport instead of and get them to overcome their own objections. That make sense? But here's the thing with this: if you make one mistake in here, you're asking open-ended questions, and then you make a statement. That can all move backwards. So you have to be careful. I mean, this is a lot of work. So we don't want them to go from doubt to suspicion to anxiety to fear to self-protection. We need to remove this paradigm. So can you see how this happens? I don't know if I'm making the right decision. Felt fun. I think I know where he's going. Oh, you know what? He is going there. I don't like this. I feel uncomfortable in this situation. Geez, he's trying to get me to do something I don't want to do. I need to defend myself. Do you see how the classic overcoming objection creates this? Does ours create this? The way that I teach you to do it, is it creating this, or from the very get-go, does it immediately start going down? All this goes down. Does that make sense? And should we be prepared for objections? Yes. If I'm a football player and I get smashed on the field, what do? I'm running with the ball and 3 guys just nail me. What do? I get up and I go back to the huddle. Now, if I'm walking down the street and somebody just tackles me, what do? I come up swinging. Why? On the football field, do I expect somebody to fight or to tackle me? Yes. On the street, do I expect somebody to tackle me? No. So if I expect somebody to tackle me, do I get irritated? Do I get angry? Or do I just get up and go back to the huddle? It's part of the job. On the field, do I get angry? No. I what? Get up and go back to the huddle. So in a meeting, do I expect somebody to give me an objection? At a first meeting, do I expect somebody to give me an objection? At a second meeting, do I expect somebody to give me objection? At a third meeting, do I expect somebody to give me objection? Yes. So should I be surprised when they do, or should I say, aha, they gave me objection. Here's a rapport building. Here's a place I can do some rapport building. So I'm looking for that objection so I can immediately say absolutely, and then get on their side and start building that rapport. Now I don't want a lot of them. That's why following the scripts will minimize it down to by 95%. But you're still going to get. Nobody's going to roll. Does any client roll over for you, or are they always going to throw you at least some level of objection? Do they want to feel like they've been steamrolled into something? They're always going to throw you some. So go in looking for an objection, okay? So there's three universal truths when it comes to overcoming objections. First, have thick skins. Customers say things in the heat of frustration, great reps taken in stride. So if I'm looking for an objection, should I ever get irritated when they give me the objection? No. I calmly say, absolutely. Absolutely, you're 100% right. Number two, what's the first word I use when I get objection? I said I use absolutely. What are some other things you can say? Oops, or first of all, why do I say that? I do that to keep me from saying something stupid. Yes, it lets them know I'm 100% agreeing with them, but the reason I reflexively, knee-jerk reaction, say something, say absolutely when they say something I don't like, is so I don't say something else stupidly. Okay, so that's why I do that. And then you want to take a deep breath and smile. So when somebody gives you an objection, do you want to talk faster or slower, louder or quieter? Yes, slower and quieter. But if you ever listen to yourself on a tape, and Jeff, we've listened to tens of thousands of tapes in the last 2 decades, what invariably happens to the pace and the volume of an advisor when they are challenged or there's an objection?
You can tell they get tense, they get stressed, they start talking louder and faster.
Yeah. And so somebody that has been trained, they see that, immediately say absolutely, and then it takes themselves to give a deep breath, smile, and then they talk slower. Because how hard is it to argue somebody who's talking quiet and slow? Have you ever seen an argument? Are people loud and fast or slow and quiet in an argument? They're slow and quiet. It moves everything down. Does that make sense? So, absolutely. I mean, you say you don't like annuity companies? God, lucky you. I have to deal with them every single day. So when you say you don't like annuity companies, amen, brother. Neither do I. They drive me bonkers. Now, do I sound like I'm talking fast or slow there? Slow. Does that make sense? See, and when you do that, it lowers anxiety. Well, did your mother, when you were a kid and you were stressed, did your mother talk fast and loud, or did she talk slow and quiet? It's going to be okay, honey. Honey. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We are trained as from the get-go. Slow and quiet means what should happen to our anxiety goes down. See? Now, is any objection not valid? Or let me ask you different. Is every objection valid? Every objection you've ever gotten, is it valid? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. If we were in their shoes, we'd 100 agree with their objection. So we shouldn't get defensive. We shouldn't feel bad. We shouldn't feel like they're idiots. We shouldn't feel like they're being argumentative if they give some objection. Their objection is valid. It's our job to help them go through it. So what's the anatomy of objection? It's a declaration of the client's free will. They don't want to feel like they're being bulldozed. Okay? They know we're going to fight back. When they give an objection, they know they're giving us objection. They're giving us a reason they're not going to buy. So, of course, they know we want to buy. So if they give us a reason why they don't want to buy, they know we're going to try to tell them why they should buy. So they know we're going to fight back. That's why when we say absolutely and then start listing off reasons why they're right, gets them to go, what'd you just say? Holy cow, this person gets me. Holy cow, that's what I was thinking. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So when you do that, their defensives go down. See, we don't want their fight flight to kick in, because if their fight or flight kicks in, what happens to their listening level? when your fight flight kicks in, what happens to your listening level? Yeah, they go down. So if their ability to listen goes down and our ability to listen goes down, are we ever going to be able to overcome the objection? Even if we prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're right, will we overcome the objection? Nope. Believe me, when I was making 50 grand a year, I won every argument. I won 100% of every argument, and what did that get me? 50 grand a year. Because nobody wants to be told or admit that they're wrong. See, they quit listening because they're already coming up with the verbal comebacks to your answer. So, and your fight flight is the exact same thing. You're also waiting for them to say something so you can overcome it. Got to get out of that paradigm because neither one of you are listening. So you want to take the resistance level, take that brick wall and lower it, not build it up. In the classic way we overcome objections, feel, felt, found, overcome the objection, ask them if they see what you get your point. That is building up or lowering their resistance level. That's building it up. 5Q methodology is taking it down. So when it comes to objections with our agenda, the first thing we have to do is what? Drop our agenda. Our agenda is to, when they overcome objection, when they give us the objection, is to overcome the objection. No, it's not. Our agenda is to what? Tell them and explain to them why their objection is wrong or why their objection is right. What's the first thing we do? Tell them why their objection is wrong or why it's right? Why it's right. We're going to tell them why they say what they're saying is correct. After we've done that, after we've got on their side of the table, after we built the rapport, after they say, you know what, this guy gets me. He thinks just like me. Oh, wow, I was going to say that too. After we do that, guess what happens to their ability to listen to us? Goes up or goes down? Goes up. Make sense? So here's the objection template. Acknowledge their objection. Absolutely. Or you could say 100% right. Or you got it. You hit it on the head, nail on the head. But whatever you say, should you ever say, I understand? Should you ever say, I understand when they give you an objection? Should you ever say, I see what you're saying? I see what you're saying. Should you ever say that? No, as soon as I hear somebody say, I see what you're saying, what they're saying is what? Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's wrong, and I'm about to tell you why you're wrong, but I see why you're saying it. No, you tell them they're kind of right or they're 150% right. That's why there should be no daylight between them being right or wrong. Absolutely. 100% correct. You hit the nail right on the head. Is there any daylight there about whether they're right or not? No, there's no daylight. So that's acknowledging the objection. Then paired it back in the form of a question. I mean, we wouldn't want to put our money, annuities are terrible, aren't they? So they say, I hate annuities. Yeah, annuities are terrible, aren't they? Or absolutely, annuities are terrible, aren't they? So, and what are they going to say to that when I say that? See, I've got them immediately saying what? Yes. I don't want to be locking my money. Yeah, it'd be crazy. Absolutely, it'd be crazy to lock up your money, wouldn't it? Yes. So within 10 seconds, I got them from fighting me into what? Agreeing with me. That's right, John. In 10 seconds, they went from fighting me to agreeing with me. Do you see how magical that is? And is that what the classic overcoming objections tell you to do? No. And then you get on the client side for at least 3 minutes. Why do I want to get on their side for a time? Tell them why they're right for a certain time. Because you want some real estate between when they say something that's wrong and them admitting that they're wrong. And they're never going to admit they're wrong. So what I'm saying is that if they say they hate annuities and I come up with, yeah, you're absolutely right, I hate annuities too. And, because first of all they care about is themselves. But of course, I don't buy oil or I don't buy gas because oil comes out to make money. Do you see, if I do it that quickly, am I really, do they really feel I'm on their side, or I'm just giving them a or I'm being kind of smart ass. Yeah, lip service. So instead, I want to get on their side for 3 minutes. If I get on their side for 3 minutes, guess what they forget? They forget their original objection. So then by the time we overcome the objection, did they ever have to admit that they're wrong? Or we can just move on with their agreement that we have, when it comes to working with any company, we have to look at the small print and make sure it's working for us. If they do that, do they have to admit that, hey, when I said annuities are bad, I was wrong? If instead, after 3, 4, 5 minutes, they say, you know what, when it comes to any company, I don't care if it's an oil company, a bank, or an annuity, you got to make sure you're reading that fine print and make sure it's working better for you than for that company. Did they have to admit that they're wrong? No. So do you see why you have to go for at least 3 minutes? It's about telling them that you're on their side. It's about telling them that you understand the way they think. It's about getting into their shoes, but it's also about putting enough real estate in there that they don't have to admit that what they said 3 or 4 minutes ago was wrong. Do you get that? I need yeas or nays of that. Everybody's saying yes. Now, after I've got on their side, do I say but? Do I ever use the word but? Unless I do use the word but I do it on purpose to show that there's a difference between one thing or another. Do I ever want to use the word but when overcoming objection, though? Because when you hear the word but, what do you know? They're about to tell me that I was what? Wrong. It's very, very easy just to use the word and instead of but. Because if you do this and then say the word but, there's danger that all that work you just did here, not 100% of the time, but there is a chance that all this work you did here will evaporate and they'll say, oh, he's arguing with me. Where if you use and, that never happens. That never happens. Never, 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 never. You'd spend 3 minutes getting on the other side, use the word and then start asking them open-ended questions and have them tell you why that objection they said 3 or 4 minutes ago was no longer valid. Does that make sense, or am I talking Greek here? So we have unbelievable tools on the website. All you have to do is type in handling objections and all sorts of coaching calls. This one will be on there. Other coaching calls I've done objections will be on there. You got how to handle yappers, people who want to talk, and without staying on topic. How you handle that. How you overcome objection videos. It's similar to this one, but with different, with the different take. Handling do-it-yourselfer. How to handle going back to their guy. So this is a particular how to handle a particular objection, which, well, you know what, which say makes sense. I need to go back to my guy. Here's how you overcome that objection. They just want to talk about product objection. They just want to talk about money objection. So there's all sorts of tools that you have when it comes to overcome objections on here. Now, the one thing that people get afraid of, this is the number one thing that advisors get afraid of is, but if I spend 3 or 4 minutes telling them why they're right, how do I turn that around? If I'm telling them they're right, how do I ever get them to, if they say they hate annuities, how do I ever get them to buy an annuity then? Well, I've given you some sense on how we do that, but we have those bottom lines that you want them to say at the end right here on the website. So, for example, they say, does this have high fees? You're going to say, that's absolutely, you need to be worried about that. I mean, you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to buy anything that was charging you high fees, would you? And then we say, because fees, if we start paying high fees, I'm going to get on their side for 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm going to start asking open-ended questions that will get them to say this: fees are lower than the fees that they're currently paying. Is that true? We just talked about that with FIAs versus money management. Which ones are the fees fair, and which ones are the fees not fair? And again, I'm not saying don't invest in money management, but if you want to put me up against you with a client, you pitching the fact that money management fees, or Fisher's pitching the fact that money management fees are fair, and high commission products like annuities are not fair, who's going to win that argument? Who's going to get that client, you or me? Fisher or me? I want everybody to answer that. Fisher or me? Who's going to get that client? Yeah. So there we have what you need them to say for all these fees. So don't worry about heck, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to ask a question here. I've got a couple people say me. So are you saying that you would win against me? Or are you saying that, I'm going to clarify this. I need to hear you. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, my PowerPoint's being weird. Okay. Can everybody see my screen still?
I can see the mistake.
So are you saying
slide on the
okay,
screen.
Fisher loses. Ha ha. Okay, good. Because if you think that you're going to you can get a client to say that money management is more fair than the way FIA charges. I will pay you $10,000 and you can pay me $1,000 for me to go in front of your client and see if I can get them to say that. And who's going to win that, guys? Guys that have known me and know the system, who's going to win that? I'm going to win that every single time. Why? Because I'm great? No, because I have a what? Is it because I'm great? No. It's because I have a what? A system that has worked for 2 decades. Make sense? So this example is going to show you all the different things that you can get them to say after you've gotten on their side. I don't want to be in anything risky. I don't want to pay high fees. I want to see everything in writing. Can I sleep on this? So you're going to get it. Say absolutely. I mean, we wouldn't want to invest in anything that we didn't have time to sleep on it and think about it, would we? So then I get on their side and tell them why we want to do that. We need to know things back and forth. Then I'm going to get on their side for 3 or 4 minutes. And don't worry about getting on their side 3 or 4 minutes. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to have a whole call on how you get on their side for 3 or 4 minutes, how you practice that so you get really good at that. But at the end, I have to turn that conversation around. So I'm going to get them to say, yeah, this investment is mistake-proof, so I really don't need to sleep on it. I'm going to get them to say, nothing would be gained by waiting and sleeping. So I'm going to get them to say that after I agree, get them to parrot back their question and say yes and get on their side for 3 or 4 minutes. We have what you need them to say after that. So we give you all the tools on the website. You don't need to be coming up with your own things. I mean, all of this, holistic planning, liquidity, we have all there. So the template, again, is acknowledge their objection, get paired back in the form of a question so they know that you're on their side invariably, get on their side for at least 3 minutes, then you use the word and then you ask open-ended questions using these things here. But again, do you see, is this a lot of work and it requires some finesse? Yes. That's why it's easier to overcome them by learning the scripts to avoid these objections in the first place. But if you do get them, you better know how to handle them. So we acknowledge by saying absolutely, definitely, exactly, without a question, very true, unquestionably, you're right, I agree. So all of these, is there any daylight there that you agree with them? No. Paired back in the form of a question. I mean, we wouldn't want to do that, would we? Oh, and when I say paired back with a question, even sometimes I'll ask a question where they'll say no, but are they still agreeing with me? We wouldn't want to invest in a company that locks up all of our money, would we? Well, no, we wouldn't. That still acts as a yes because we are or are not in total agreement when they say no. Are in agreement? Oh, yeah, we are in agreement. So don't get fouled up trying to get them to say yes. Just make sure when you ask the question back, they know that you both are in 100% agreement. Does that make sense? Pair it back in the form of a question. Isn't it? Doesn't it? Wouldn't it? Shouldn't you? Don't you? Oops. I mean, we wouldn't want to be investing in something that was locked up, would we? It'd be silly to invest in something that would lock up our money, isn't it? We wouldn't want to do that. We'd want to keep our money liquid, wouldn't you? Shouldn't you? Don't you? So all you do is tack this on at the end of the question to get them agreeing with you. So this does not give me enough liquidity. You say, you don't want to be locked up in anything that's not liquid, do you? No. And are we agreeing then? Do they know I'm agreeing with them? Yes. I mean, it'd be a big mistake to get locked up in something that wasn't liquid, wouldn't it? See, this accomplishes 3 things. You startle them thinking, what did he just do? He's agreeing with me with no daylight. He's not saying, I kind of agree. He's saying, he wholeheartedly agrees. And now they're agreeing back with me. By asking that question, they're agreeing back with me. And then I'm going to got them. And again, we're going to have a whole call on how you can talk really for 15 minutes. I'm going to show you how you could actually, if you want to, go 15 minutes telling them why they're right. And you all, that skill is very, very attainable for all of you. We'll spend a call here in a few weeks doing that. And you're going to tell them 5 reasons why this does not give me liquidity. So they say, so what are 5 reasons? I'll give you a quick example. They say they want to invest in liquid. There's 5 things you could say. You could say, well, of course, absolutely. I mean, we wouldn't have been lock our money up, would we? I mean, because you'll never know when you'll need the money. You know, one time I had money set aside for 7 years, never, ever use it. I thought, well, and an investment opportunity came along, but it required me to lock it up for 5 years. I'm thinking, well, I haven't touched this money for 7 years. I might as well take this opportunity, and I put it in there. And invariably, guess what happened? 3 months after I put it in there that was locked up for 5 years, I needed that money. Isn't that how life works? 7 years I didn't need it. And then within 3 months after locking it up, I did need it. So when you say you don't want to invest something that doesn't give you liquidity, amen, brother. Neither do I, because you never know when you need that money. See, when I say that, do they know I'm on their side or not? That I kind of agree with them or don't agree with them? Or 100% agree with them? Kinda? 100%? Or don't? 100% I agree with them. I will lock my money up once that bad things happen. Another bad. So, see, that would be stressful. You wouldn't have control anymore. So I have reasons why what they said makes sense. I'm putting myself in their shoes. So how do you learn to do this faster? Guys, record your meetings with your clients and then listen to yourself. If you don't want to do that, on our website, you can go back to we have all of the, under the 15-minute review, or 15-minute, most important 15 minutes of the day, we have all sorts of short 2- and 3-minute tapes of guys making mistakes. You at least learn from their mistakes to make you more money. The best way to learn how to do it, though, is to listen to yourself. By doing that, you're going to then learn to recognize it in a real meeting, and it will, at least when you get an objection, you're not going to go into fight-flight mode. Because how well do you think in fight-flight mode? You don't think very well. You get anxious. You start to talk fast. You start to say things you wouldn't normally say. So by listening to yourself on tape, it's going to help you recognize it in a real-life situation and keep you calmer. Okay, it gets rid of that fight-flight. And because you're not any closer to overcoming. Again, I just touched on this. When we get on their side, we're not any closer to overcoming the objection. But like I pointed out, we have things that you can say. But I've ruined my thunder here. By getting on their side and getting rid of fight-flight, are we not any closer? We're not any closer to overcoming the objection, though. Is that right or wrong? If we say absolutely and then talk for 3 minutes about all the reasons that are 100% correct, are we any closer to closing the objection? That's right, Howard. That's wrong, because we have a developed rapport. It's wrong because now they're listening to me. They know that I know how they think. We're on the same side of the table. They know I'm on their side. They think, wow, this guy gets me. And it's got to be 3 minutes long. See, they may not agree. They may not always be right, but they're going to never allow themselves to be wrong. To say they're not going to they'll argue all sorts of silly things to you just to save face. But if you spend 3 minutes, we can forget what they said 3 minutes ago. So acknowledge the objection, pair it back in the form of a question, get on their side for at least 3 minutes, use the word and then have them tell you why you should move forward. And like I said, we've got all sorts of tools here. If you just type in objection, all sorts of tools. But again, what is the best way to overcome the objection? What is the best way to overcome an objection? Sales got it. Nick's got it. Learn the scripts. Learn the scripts. Learn the scripts. And if you learn the scripts, guess how many objections you're going to get? They're going to be softballs. Because at that point, you know, like when you're going to be buying a car and you love that car, you don't want the salesperson to know you love the car, but you really love that car and really want that car. Do you throw them hard objections or softball objections? I mean, you're not just going to fall over for the car because you know he'll you know, in today's world you got to pay whatever the sticker price is. But before COVID, you wouldn't show your hand by showing how much you wanted the car, right? So would you throw him a hard objection or would you throw him a soft one? Especially like if you're buying a one-of-a-kind car, a used car, it's one-of-a-kind, that you know if you walk away, you can't go to another dealership, get one. You want that car. You're going to throw them hard objections or soft ones? You're going to throw them soft ones. So if you learn the scripts, the objections you're going to get are just going to be so soft, so easy to overcome. Okay, so the only way you're going to do to get better at this is to use these things. Now, here's the great thing: objections. Is this something you would only use, overcoming objections, that only use it in business, or would you use that everywhere in life? With your spouse, with your teenage son, with the maître d' that lost your reservation. You can use this skill. So it's not something, I mean, if it's something you can use every single day that's going to get you what you want out of life, where you don't have to argue, instead people are giving it to you, is that it's something worth learning. Please, please, please spend the time to learn to overcome objections the right way. Does this make sense? So do you like these kind of sales training calls? Super, because we're going to have about a month to 6 weeks of these sales training calls to get us all up to speed. And why am I doing it right now, guys? Why am I going to spend the next 5 to 6 weeks on sales skills? Because when is it's summer, and what should you be doing come fall? Figuring out way to get in front of people. That's right. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys, for being on the call today. I love talking about this stuff if you can't tell. And you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.